Today I want to talk to you guys a little bit about this device that I have with me right here. No, this isn't an e-reader and this isn't a Blackberry. It is something in between. This is the Minimal Phone by Minimal Company. I received this phone in the mail just about a week ago and I was very excited. I stuck my SIM card in it and I've been using it ever since. Today we're going to talk about my thoughts on the Minimal Phone so far, my first impressions after using it for about a week. But first, if you don't know me, I'm Spencer and I like to talk about simple living, frugality, and digital minimalism. Let's get into it. So the Minimal Phone is a pretty unique looking device. It is a piece of hardware made by an American company called the Minimal Company. I've been following this device and kind of keeping track of its release since it was announced. I reached out to the guys and I asked them if they would send me one that I could try, and they were gracious enough to do that. That being said, I'm not being told to say anything, and they're also not going to see this review before it comes out. This is just my thoughts on it so far and what I've experienced using it this week. There's been a little bit of drama around this company and some of their communication around the release of the device. Some people were worried that this thing was never going to ultimately come out, but here it is. I'm holding it in my hand and I can tell you that it's pretty good. Today I want to give you my thoughts on that, so let's take it down to my table like I did with my old Yeti video, and we'll talk a little bit more about this device. As you can see, this is a very interesting looking device. It looks a lot like the Blackberry Key 2, which is another very popular device in the digital minimalism space. But this isn't a Blackberry Key 2 because it also has an e-ink screen. I do want to specify that this screen isn't specifically e-ink. Think of e-ink like a name brand, like Kleenex. This is tissue, but it's not Kleenex. This is an e-paper screen. It is an e-ink style of screen, but it isn't an e-ink manufactured screen. So it is going to be, I think, a little less sharp and a little less responsive than other devices which use e-ink branded panels. One of the main interesting things about this device is the QWERTY keyboard that we have here. This is something that you just don't see with phones anymore, and people have a lot of love for the QWERTY keyboard. This one's pretty good as well. It has a really nice click, a really nice tactile feel to it. The keys are very responsive, and I've had a good time texting, even though it is a little bit slower than my swipe texting on an iPhone touchscreen, I will say. So opening the device here, you can get a sense of what it's like. Now, it has a fingerprint scanner here. This is the button that locks and unlocks the phone. And if you just place your finger on it once you've set it up, it unlocks the device. Now on the home screen here, we have the main apps that they give you, the ones that you can just jump into quickly that they figure you're going to need most. That's including calculator, calendar, camera, maps, messages, notes, and phone. If you want to get into the rest of the apps that you have, see your entire app dashboard, all you have to do is swipe down. Another great thing about this device that makes it very unique in the dumb phone space right now is that it isn't a dumb phone. This thing is essentially a full smartphone just with an e-paper screen. It runs Android, it has the Google Play Store. You can download essentially any app that you would get on any old smartphone and put it on this device. You may wonder then, what's the point of getting something like this then? Is it just for the QWERTY keyboard? Because if it's a normal smartphone, I'm going to be just as distracted as a normal smartphone, right? Now, I've had that thought myself, but my experience has been nothing like that at all. The fact that this has this e-ink style screen, it just makes it less appealing to look at for a long period of time. This device scratches a similar itch to me as the Cat S22 Flip. That was a full Android device that had a physical keyboard. It had all of the capabilities of an Android, but because of some sort of limitation of the form factor, you weren't going to use it to a point that it was going to take up your entire day looking at a screen. And that's what I love about the Minimal Phone so far. This device, the way it is, it takes away all of the excuses. If you said, I'd love to not have a smartphone, I want a dumb phone, but I need my email, or I need Google Maps, or I need WhatsApp, whatever excuse that you have, you're able to meet that with the Minimal Phone. Comparing it to the Cat S22 as well, that was an older version of Android that no longer received security updates, so I wasn't really comfortable to do anything like banking on that device. This device has a newer version of Android and will be supported for years, so all of those types of things are all good to go on this phone. Here we see all the other apps that I have. Now I've installed a chess app on here. I got Antenna Pod as well as Audible. The rest of these I think were already on here. I swipe down. We see we have Facebook. I installed that to see what the experience was like on this type of device. So there's two different settings menus on this device. There's the main settings that you would find on any other Android device, but we also have this quick settings menu, which when we get into here, this allows you to adjust things like the brightness or the color temperature or even the keyboard backlight. There's also presets here, so you can go for a warm color temperature or a cool color temperature or even a night mode, which is I think going to give you kind of another warmer light look. You can also adjust the refresh speeds here too. So we have a slow speed and ultra speed. The slow speed is the best quality suitable for reading and minimal use. The ultra speed at the other end is going to have heavy detail loss, but it's suitable for playing video games and videos, anything that is going to have any sort of high refresh speed. In between, we now have a hybrid mode, which is in beta, and that switches to the ultra mode when it detects that something is needed to be refreshing a bit faster, something like an animation or a video. Here's an example with Facebook on Marketplace, and as you can see, on the ultra mode, it's pretty responsive. It does work. It's not something that I could see myself getting lost in for hours, but it still does work if you need to get on there, do a quick thing. Coming down to YouTube here. Now here's a video, a frugal coffee chat with Larry from Under the Median. This is one of my favorite YouTube channels, and I want to check this one out actually. So as you can see, this is the type of refresh speed that I'm noticing when I'm on something like the camera app and when I'm using videos. It's trying to catch up by refreshing this at all times. So we're getting this kind of crazy animated effect, but a way to adjust this to see if it works a little bit better for you in the performance is to come over here, and I always keep this tab open that has the refresh speeds here. We're going to hit ultra and we're going to just go straight up in ultra. Here, there you go. Now that I've switched into ultra mode, as you can see, it's not flashing nearly as much. This is definitely a lot more watchable. So that's the kind of thing you need to keep in mind when you're using this device. I would just recommend when you're using something like this to just keep this tab open here with the quick settings so that you can adjust the refresh speeds yourself, because so far on that hybrid one, as we saw, when I was on hybrid, it worked as when I was good in YouTube, just scrolling up and down. But when I went to actually watch the video itself, I needed to switch into ultra mode manually in order to make sure that that played through with minimal flashing. This device also has a camera. I have taken some photos on it so far, and I will post some of those on the screen now. The minimal phone also has a front-facing selfie camera. It's not up here, it's actually down here. I don't really know why the selfie camera is down here. It's kind of a weird spot to put it, but I'm sure that they had a good reason to put it down there rather than up here or something. I'm just happy to see on this type of device, this category of device, they have a camera there at all, so that's a plus. I'm pretty much just going on slow most of the time because I find that when I'm in ultra, ultra looks nice, but look what's happened. I've already started scrolling when I'm in ultra, and we're getting a stack of a burn-in that's happening on the back of the screen here. If you want to use ultra at all times, but you obviously don't want to deal with something like that, what you can do is you can use this button right here that's in between the up and the down volume button. And that's going to allow you to do a hard refresh on the screen. Think of it like an Etch-a-Sketch, and you're giving it a good shake. Here we go. So as you see, it is now completely clear and we're back to the home screen and there's no burn-in issue. Now here I have the Boox Palma and the minimal phone side by side. They're both on randfreer.com on the blog, and they're both in their highest refresh mode. This is an ultra, and I think this is called ultra or something like that. So as you can see, this is quite fast as well, but this is also quite fast. The Boox is definitely a bit faster, but it's basically not noticeable. Now here's both of those devices in full screen mode on that same video as well. This is a great example though to show you that both of these devices work for video in a pinch. Neither of them really excel at it, but if you needed to just get some information quickly, a quick tutorial for something, you're going to be able to get that information, but this isn't going to be, neither of these devices geared to content consumption as far as video is concerned. And that is really the point of these, is to not be using them for those things. Now this device comes with USB-C, which we know is standard, but what this thing has that most dumb phones don't have, in fact the Lightphone 3 doesn't have, is a headphone jack. This is great because let's say I'm driving and I want to listen to a podcast on the go. I'm able to use the headphone jack with my aux cable to listen to that in my car, and then I'm able to also simultaneously charge the device using the USB-C port. I've always found when I've used a splitter that split the charging port into a headphone jack as well as a charger, it's caused an interference and it's very noisy listening to it in the car. So having it with separate ports is just a huge bonus as far as I'm concerned. Another great thing about the headphone jack is that when your headphones are plugged in, when you have those wired headphones connected to this device, it works like an antenna and there is a built-in FM radio in this device. Another thing which this device has, which I was surprised to find, was that it had wireless charging back here. Now, I haven't even seen this mentioned anywhere. I didn't know that it had it, but I just wanted to test it when I got it home. I got this like Anker wireless charger that I got on Amazon warehouse deals a few months ago, and I just decided to set this thing on it and see if it would charge. And of course, when I put it down, a battery indicator popped up and it started charging. I haven't added music to this, but I have been using AntennaPod to listen to podcasts, and I've had no problem with that. I've also been able to use Bluetooth to add my AirPods to it. Another thing is people ask if it has Apple CarPlay, or I guess Android Auto in this case. This device does have Android Auto. It is compatible with Android Auto. It also does have Google Maps, which I've tested and works pretty good. And if you're using it as a minimalist phone should be used, the battery life is also really good, and you should be able to get at least like 3 days out of it, maybe as many as 5 if you're using it very seldomly. This phone's made really well. It feels quite good in the hand. It's a plastic body, and I do kind of wish that it was maybe like an aluminum or some sort of metal design, just because it would feel a little bit more robust. Like I would feel like I want to get a case with this when I'm going to bring it around places, just in case I did drop it, wasn't going to get damaged. But it does feel nice and heavy. It feels nice and sturdy. Like it's not hollow or anything like that. It's dense. It's a very well-made feeling device, and I'm enjoying it so far. If I'm going to say any kind of downsides of this device, any of the little things that I've noticed about it so far is it definitely does attract a lot of fingerprints on it. I have the black one, and I've gotten tons of fingerprints on the back of the screen, and even like I use some beard oil in my beard, and when I'm talking on the phone like this, sometimes there's like a little bit of an oil stain on the screen. That's not really the phone's fault, but it definitely does attract a lot of oils from your fingerprints and things like that. So I think that could be mitigated if you get a lighter color, because they offer a pebble, which is like a whitish gray, and then also a white model as well. So I think the black one is probably the one that attracts it the most, but that's just something to be cognizant of. Overall, my thoughts after using this device for a week so far is that it is a great start. These guys have done a really good thing here. They've taken a device and they've made their own complete standalone device, a complete new chassis, and with an e-ink screen at that. And it's pretty good. This isn't a really limited device that can just do texting and calling, just have those very few features. This thing can literally do anything that a smartphone can do, but it can also have that QWERTY keyboard and that e-ink experience that I think just naturally makes you not want to use the device so long, which is the goal with this type of tool. I hope the guys at Minimal Company keep supporting the device like they have been, keep adding updates and improving this thing, and I think that they will, and it's going to get better and better into the future. I'm going to come back with another review of this device after I've used it for, let's say, 30 days or a little bit more than that, and tell you some of my thoughts after using it for that longer period, and hopefully there'll be even some more features that I can talk to you about then that have been updated since I talked about it now. If you have any questions about the Minimal phone, or you want to talk about this device or the dumb phone space in general, let me know in the comments. I would love to hear from you. I'll also be sharing bonus videos and other behind the scenes content around all of the devices I'm testing on my Patreon. So if you want to support the channel and get access to those bonus videos, check that out. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.